Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Coin News Extra interview session. So today we have an innovator joining us from India. He is Harsh Rajat. Harsh Rajat is the founder Ethereum Push Notification Service. Harsh, you are welcome to Coin News Extra.
Thank you, Lee. It's awesome to be here.
Yeah,
Very excited about it.
It's our pleasure to have you. So today we'll be talking about game theory and DeFi. So game theory may not really sound familiar to some persons, but I know people have been hearing about DeFi. So before we go straight to that particular topic, can you just give us a brief about yourself?
Sure. So, Lee, I have been an entrepreneur from the past decade or so. I started with mobile apps and games, had good success over there, then, got tired creating the same thing. So, took a path in the journey to explore new things that led me to trying out software as a service, creating few websites, learning few design courses before stumbling upon blockchain in 2018. And that was when I found the same fun and passion which I had when I started my debut as an entrepreneur. So yeah, long story short, by the end of 2019, I had learned a lot of tips and tricks of blockchain and how to do things well on blockchain. And that's when I started my decentralized entrepreneur journey. And that was when Ethereum push notification service got born. We actually looked into a lot of dApps. We looked into a lot of apps, and we tried to compare it with the traditional service. Very soon, we realized that Web3 it operates more like the early internet era, which means you had to go on Gmail, let's say 2003. So Gmail was launched, and you had to visit Gmail, look into your emails, reply to it. Maybe go to Orkut, which was the social network back then. See, check out your friends, and then log out and rinse and repeat this process every 6 hours or 2 days. But that's not really the case right now. In fact, this meeting was also a notification which came to you and me. And everything is notifications when you compare it to the 2.0. You have a payment, you get a notification.
Hello?
Really, where did I lose you?
Yeah, I don't know you are talking about this. I don't know what happened. Okay, let's just continue. Since you've been able to say a brief about
Really,
your
where did I lose you?
I said, I can't really. You are talking about your background, so maybe we can still continue. Let's continue with the program since it's recorded. We will edit it. So, you are, talking about the topic game theory and DeFi. I would ask, was actually game theory?
Sure. So, the game theory actually is something which exists in each of our lives in our day-to-day interaction. So, people might think that game theory is something complex, but it's actually not. It's just the rules created around the interaction, which happens different players of our ecosystem. So game theory plays out even when you are on Twitter, because Twitter wants you to do something, and in return, Twitter wants to incentivize you to do those things. And of course, you as a user wants your voice heard. So, in fact, not many people realize, but they are interacting with game theory in all the situations. If you ask me, simply put, game theory is the process of creating strategic interactions between two or more players to ensure that there's a win-win scenario for each of the player. That can be done by following just three basic simple rules. The first thing is incentivization. So you should always incentivize good behavior. Uh, Again, if you look at Twitter, the way Twitter incentivizes good behavior is when you tweet good content out from your username. Twitter will give you more noise. The algos will determine if your tweet should be carried forward and shown to more people. And if more and more people like it, then the tweet is further promoted or shown to a lot more users. So Twitter, in this way, is incentivizing you to create good content. The second rule is penalizing. Penalizing means that you are carrying a penalty for bad actors of the ecosystem. So again, in the example of Twitter, if your tweets are offensive in nature, then Twitter might block your account for 2 hours or 12 hours or even permanently. And that is a way they are saying that if you create bad content, you are not going to get your voice heard on our platform. So there you have it. You have incentives, you have penalty, and then lastly, the win-win scenario. So Twitter as a platform, it requires the users to come and create good content so that it can grow. And you as a user, you want a voice to be heard. So following the incentive and the penalty model, if you're creating good content for Twitter and you're doing it rapidly, Twitter will make sure that your voice is heard. So that's a win for you. And of course, it's a win for Twitter if you're providing them with good content. So there you have it, win-win scenario, incentivization, and penalty. And that's game theory.
Yeah,
Uh,
interesting. That's a very nice one. So it sounds very, very interesting. Having been able to define and explain what game theory is. So what's DeFi and how does it work?
sure. So DeFi, just to add, the example I gave for game theory, that was a non-monetary one. We know incentives work really well when you monetize some actions. For example, when you are employed in an organization. So yeah, coming to the DeFi part, DeFi is again something very simple. Simply put, it's just finances on the blockchain. When I say finances on the blockchain, I'm talking about any digital asset or any protocol that enables lending, borrowing, or taking interest. Now, a lot of people have this question about DeFi, that why is it necessary, or why paper money cannot solve this problem. And because of that, I just want to go into the history of paper money. So when paper money was created, I mean, paper money is just 400 or 500 years old. Before that, we had gold coins. Long before that, we had reals as money. But yeah, even right now, the paper money which was created back in those days, that paper money was backed by gold. But the current iteration of paper money is not. So even at a point when people are comfortable with paper money, the iterations keep on changing. I mean, it was just in 1970 that paper money lost the backing of the gold, and there was a new iteration where it was not backed by gold. But yeah, that's the history of paper money. What paper money cannot do, it cannot give you subscription on Netflix. What really gives you subscription on Netflix? Basically, your plastic money or your debit card and credit card, which is an innovation over paper money. Think about it. If you wanted a service and when you just had paper money, you had to take that paper money to the service provider. You had to pay them, and then the service provider will provide that service to you. But with credit cards, and especially with credit cards, there's an innovation that took place. The bank said that, hey, it's fine if you don't even have this money. You can lend from our credit card. You can pay the service provider, and you don't even have to carry the paper money. You can just swipe your card or do it online, and that's about it. And because we are providing you with this service, just give us a little bit of interest. So if you see it like that, credit card, the use is a different use case than paper money, and paper money cannot be used where credit cards are used, in some scenarios at least. For example, imagine if you had to go to Netflix office and take paper money and say every month that I need to renew my subscription. That's very hard to imagine right now, because credit card has made that innovation a possibility. Same with DeFi. DeFi is the next innovation in finance, and it enables you to do things which paper money or credit card cannot do. So, for example, you cannot use paper money on blockchain. You cannot use a credit card on blockchain. What you can use is digital crypto assets, and that is why this DeFi is necessary. DeFi allows you to lend those digital assets to other people. DeFi allows you to borrow those digital assets, even have interest. And talking about innovation, why not go into flash loans, which is just a bunch of code which you write that enables you to have a zero collateral loan. Because of the nature of the blockchain, the code you are writing, either it will execute, and whatever money you are borrowing from your borrower, from your lender, that money will be utilized in whatever arbitrage you want to do, and finally be returned back to borrower in the same transaction, thereby making sure that the borrower never loses his money. So either that will happen, or the entire function won't execute and the borrower will not lose his money. So that's a fantastic use case scenario. You have a zero loan collateral wherein you don't have to even put any things as a collateral to borrow money. And we are talking thousands and thousands of dollars. You just have to pay the fees, which essentially ranges from $1 to $10. So isn't that awesome? And isn't that sound? I don't think there's anything equivalent to that in the physical world. And yeah, that's why DeFi is the next innovation, and that's why it's something which we really think is going to get bigger as and when blockchain grows.
Okay, interesting. We've been able to ask. I was waiting to ask you the relationship between game theory and DeFi. From what you have explained, you've uh, been able to define the relationship. So, what I'm going to ask you, what briefly, very briefly, what actually is Ethereum push notification services? Just briefly.
Sure. So, briefly, Ethereum Push Notification Service, EPNS for short, enables users to receive notifications on their wallet addresses. These notifications can come from any service, any smart contract, any dApps, and thus it ensures that instead of the user going to the service, which is again the pre-internet days, or the era of pre-internet, instead of that, the services are coming to the users. So if your decentralized exchange has completed a trade, you can get a notification on your wallet. If your ENS domain expires, you can get a notification on your wallet. And not only that, the user is completely in charge of receiving what notifications they want, and they earn from these notifications. So that is where EPNS connects game theory and DeFi and utilizes it to ensure that users are incentivized to receive notification because they are earning, and services are incentivized to send quality notifications because if they don't, user can just simply opt out of those notifications.
Yeah, that's very nice, and it's a very nice project. Also, finally, before we draw the curtain on today's interview session, what can you say about yield farming and the future of DeFi?
Sure. So for the future of DeFi, for sure, DeFi provides services which were never possible before, and I think that it only is going to grow further and further. Uh, for yield farming, that's a tricky subject to answer. Uh, I mean, only time will tell what will happen. But basically, yield farming involves a lot of concepts. It involves liquidity mining, made very famous by Com. Uh, Simply put, is the act of lending some collateral out, maybe liquidating or maybe not liquidating those collateral, but maybe converting those collateral back to DAI, then using those DAI to again carry on the lending process. So that's one way to yield farm. The other way is through liquidity mining. So in the case of comp tokens, the more you are engaged in the comp protocol, the more tokens will be created and mined for you. That's how comp token protocol. That's how comp token work at least for the next 4 years or so. So yeah, lead farming basically involves a lot of complex actions, which just follows a recursion of this borrowing, then converting the assets, then re-borrowing again. And I think while it's a very creative and cool concept, and I think the product really dictates how much yield farming will survive and how well it will do. There's a part of me that also thinks that because of how game theory is usually, uh, eventually these yield farming gains or a lot of these gains will be adjusted or priced into the token itself or into the protocol itself. So yeah, there's no yes or no answer over here. But I do not actually have a proper answer for yield farming. I think it can do well, but yeah, I also think it can stabilize. So only time will tell.
Only time will tell, interestingly, and DeFi has been a hot topic. People have been talking about it, and people have been asking questions about DeFi, which so many people believe it is the way forward. Thank you very much, Harsh Rajat, for joining us today on Coinage Extra.
Thanks, Lee. It was my absolute pleasure to be here.
It's our pleasure too.